Have you ever left a meeting or even a conversation thinking that could have gone so much better? I think we've all been there. Moments where miscommunication or lack of listening broke down the team instead of building them back up. Communication isn't just about talking, it's about how we listen to people and how we respond to one another. This is Module 4, Chapters 7 and 8. And in organizations, the way we communicate helps shape teamwork and even how conflict is resolved. Learning to communicate more supportively and completely helps transform how teams work together and how they reach their long term successes. We learned a little bit about how leadership, communication climates, and conflict management all relate to the backbone of an organization. And in even some of my own experiences, I can say that when openness is prioritized, collaboration and productivity will quickly improve, and we will see this. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about how Jack Gibbs' model of defensive and supportive communication climates affect your workplace, how constructive conflict and listening build stronger teams, and how Edgar Schein's model of how leaders can shape lasting and healthy workplaces through communication help establish your company's culture. So, a little bit more about Jack Gibb. He identifies 6 pairs of defensive and supportive behaviors that determine whether people either feel safe or sometimes threatened in conversations of the workplace. Defensive climates were described as shaped from behaviors like evaluations or control or superiority, which often created tension between people and often made them feel like they needed to shut down. In contrast, supportive climates use descriptors such as empathy and equality, helping people feel valued. Supportive climates allow for honest communication. People often feel safe expressing their frustrations and often will communicate ideas openly. This will not only will you see a rise in collaboration itself, but problems are often solved more quickly. Rather than in a defensive climate, people tend to just protect themselves and they stop listening, they begin reacting, which breaks down not just communication, but sometimes your team or company's morale. So once your team helps create this supportive climate, the next step is sort of learning how to manage that conflict when it happens, because it will happen. Marx explains this, that having healthy conflict actually encourages open feedback and critical thinking. So constructive conflict focuses on the issue and not the person, which is going to be the biggest difference there. This is helping teams reach better and more innovative decision making. In destructive conflict, on the other hand, can drain your team, divide teams, especially when people see their goals as competing rather than shared. Alternatively, in Ernesto Ceroli's message, Shut Up and Listen, he teaches that real communication starts with understanding and with respect. Leaders need to first ask questions and understand what motivates their team before the acting takes place, allowing for employees to feel heard and respected, which also allows them to feel like they can contribute ideas freely. And again, this is helping your team thrive by collaboration and not by control. So, once teams learn to communicate, handle conflict constructively, leaders then can take these lessons and shape the actual culture of their organization. So, in Edgar Schein's model, he describes culture as a pattern of shared basic assumptions developed over time. So his iceberg model shows 3 different levels: artifacts, values, and underlying assumptions. True leadership means recognizing these different levels and exactly how they interact. Real change happens when leaders aligned all of those visible actions and then mesh them in with your group values or their beliefs. So, a considerate culture supports open and continuous learning. Leaders who listen, model this empathy, and respect differences have the ability to create an environment where people feel both connected and motivated. When culture, communication, and conflict management align, teams become resilient and continue to be focused on that shared success. So, to reiterate, effective communication and healthy culture don't exist without listening, respect, and collaboration. I've explained a little bit about how Gibbs' supportive communication builds that trust, how Marx and Soroli's ideas show that constructive conflict and listening help lead to growth, and how Shine's model helps our leaders create lasting and positive environments. These all matter in any sort of workplace, from large to small, and depending on how people communicate, it also shows how they care about one another's perspectives. To borrow the words of Ernesto Soroli, he says, "Don't help people who don't want to be helped. You need to listen to them first. Don't lead teams you haven't taken the time to understand." And when we do deeply lead with empathy, not only are we improving our communication, but we're strengthening a culture within people that makes not just one, but every single task possible. Again, these were the ideas and sort of models of Module 4, Chapters 7 and 8. This is for COM 250. I am Daisy Chida. Thank you.